बेटा बेटा जरा ये चाबी लेना छे, चाबी ले लो जरा मेरे से।
क्या बनाना है?
Krishna, just give me a second. Just give me a second.
7. श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नित नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष पाश्चात्य दृष्टार जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री प्रहलाद सुभाषादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। Right, Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone, and I must apologize for causing the kind of trouble which I caused, since I failed to live up to your expectations last Sunday, and now you have got this, and it will be followed by tomorrow. We'll be having Ramya Prabhu with us. So I understand it's going to be a little too much. So without further ado, let me try and cover these two chapters. But before I start, I just wanted to know if there are any questions regarding the previous, right from chapter number 25 to 26, even 24, because this is the same Puranjan incidents going on, Prachin Bari, and today we will, God willing, we will be finishing this. So if there are anything that you need as something which is like connecting the previous dots, so I am willing to do so. So if there's something, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll go my way. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So since I also thought as much, not what's gonna come in the way. So let's go to chapter number 27. I'm putting this on the screen, and I need a volunteer to read the chapter summary for chapter 27. Okay. I need a volunteer to read it out. First 12 verses. I need a volunteer can read it out for me. First 12 verses, and then we will go on verse by verse. Yeah, please go on.
After bewildering and subjugating Queen Puranjan, his pacified queen satisfied and enjoyed sex with him. Being captivated by her beauty, the excessively attached king lost his good sense and spent his life without spiritual benefit. Puranjan passed half his life begetting many qualified offspring, whose marriages he duly arranged. His city, Panchal, became overcrowded with his sons and grandsons, who plundered his dear assets. Narad warned Prachin Bharisat that, like him, Puranjan was also attached to fruitive activities and ghastly animal sacrifices. Hare Krishna.
So that's how now Puranjan is back in the city, and you see the chapter, the title of the chapter is, okay, let me show this to you. It's there. You see chapter 26 and 27. The chapter 27, it is entitled Attack by Chandavega on the city of King Puranjan. Chandavega. Who is Chandavega? So we will see. Chandavega means that the force of time. Chanda is like Chanda specifically powerful, and Vega. Chandavega is the influence of time. So that's going to attack. So before that happens, let's there are a few aspects which Bhakti Vaibhava expects that we should be dealing with this. Again, another quote and unquote controversial topic. And here is what it is. Let me go to the, let me close the screen and let me bring in to the purport. Let's see, what do we have? Where is it? Yeah, here. Wait, let me go to the exact letter. Yeah. This is verse number 1, and the purport, it's like almost in the middle of the purport, you will find this statement. Indeed, it is said, okay? It is said that a woman's sex desire is 9 times stronger than a man's. Last week we had that rape controversy, and now here is it. Okay, so then therefore it's man's duty to keep a woman under control. Under control by satisfying her, giving her ornaments, nice foodstuffs, engaging in religious activity. Of course, women should have children, not be disturbing to men. Okay. So, of course, it's preceded by certain sentences. Husband should engage in devotional service. Wife should be faithful and religious. Such a combination is good. However, if the husband becomes too much attracted to the wife due to sex, the position becomes very dangerous. Women in general are very much sexually inclined. And indeed, this is a statement. It is said. Said by whom? By whom? Unfortunately, Prabhupada didn't quote the person. So, what are your thoughts on it? Right into the subject. What are your thoughts on it? Women are 9 times, what was that? 9 times stronger sexual sex desire. What do you have to say? Daru Krishna Prabhu, go on.
I heard in the lecture that the desire is divided in many parts, like desire for intimation, desire for the children's, desire for the opulence, and desire for jewelry, desire for the cosmetics and all. So this is way that she desires 9 times more the calm as compared to the men. Maybe I right.
You are just expressing your opinion. So we are just trading opinions in any ways. Other thoughts? Other thoughts? Is everybody scared of it?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Go on. Amarendra Prabhu.
जी, मुझे तो लग रहा है प्रभु जी इसका उल्टा ही है, क्योंकि मतलब हमने आज तक क्या सुना है कि आदमी वगैरह ऐसे अनकंट्रोल वो रेप वगैरह करते हैं, ऐसा वैसा। माताओं का तो कभी कुछ सुना नहीं गया, तो मुझे तो ऐसा उल्टा लग रहा है।
डेटा क्या बताता है आपको? डेटा क्या बताता है? पूरे दुनिया में किसी भी मुल्क का जो है क्राइम रिकॉर्ड उठा लें, किसी का भी आप टॉस करें और आंख बंद करके जहां गिरता है उसका उठा लें, डेटा क्या बताता है?
आदमी लोग ही गड़बड़ करते हैं तो।
In fact, last week we didn't have the class, and one of the students called me up, and that devotee told me that "Prabhu, we didn't have this class, but like because I was prepared for the class and I read the purport, and I'm like, since the time, like, it's giving me sleepless nights because it was the very first purport. How do you deal with this? Kya kare? I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? Get around it. Same, the very same thing, like the same kind of situation again we are in. Just like last week, we like toggled between defending Prabhupada, defending Shastra, understanding it, and so many things. So now again we are back in the same, back to square one. Other thoughts? Rasipriya Shamprabhu, please go on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. From my understanding, it's actually about the different nature of a male and female body.
Mhm,
And since the female body is the one which is designed to have children,
mhm,
naturally the idea of sex to have children is more
mhm,
prominently ingrained in a woman body.
mhm. Okay, that sounds interesting. That sounds really interesting. Something, yeah. So okay, so I mean, yeah, I understand this. This is your again your opinion, but like, is there any conclusion we can? Is something we can conclude? Yeah, Radhakrishna Prabhuji, please tell us in.
Prabhuji, I think this matter was there in chapter of Devhuti and Kardam
एक
Muni.
क्लास नहीं होती
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is what I want to say only.
Yeah, वहां से शुरू हुआ actually. Third canto was one of the first cantos from where this started actually. These discussions, and this like continuing, because third canto now in the fourth canto, you won't find such discussion so much in like seventh canto or eighth canto. Like third and fourth are the basically cantos where you find the maximum of such kind of similar nature of purports concentrated. Certainly because of the topics at hand, and also as we understand, the Bhagavatam is a progression. That at some point in time, these are the topics which are like in synergy to the kind of subject that's going on at hand, that invites that kind of purpose. Ganga Shakti Maji, please. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, just as we were discussing last time, the concept of masculine behavior and feminine behavior, I think, to my understanding, this is what we are referring to. That, the feminine behavior, the concept of feminine behavior, that anybody who's more attached to the body and functions on the bodily platform. So therefore, in the world today, we see that there are gazillions of dollars invested in cosmetic industry. Now we can even see cosmetics for men. So what I would say is that men who have a feminine bent of mind, so that is the concept that we're talking about. It has nothing to do with man or woman. It is to do with the concept of masculinity and femininity. So the feminine concept of being more attached to the body and therefore functioning on the bodily platform. And since we are on anybody who has more of that, it could be a man having more of that, will obviously have more desires, more demands on the bodily level. So therefore, more demand for sex or for opulence or for things. So this is not to be taken personally by women. I mean, anybody who's in a woman's body, because this is referring to those who are functioning on that platform. So that is how I understand it to be.
Thank you, Maji, for sharing your understanding. You actually basically, if I summarize what you said, you basically said is actually the nature of the thing, and how a particular activity has been categorized under a particular nature. It's not really actually so much, as I understand, so much about the character of a person, but it's a character of certain elements in the world which have been categorized in according to feminine and masculine qualities. Okay, I personally don't find anything objectionable in that. Yeah, Darukrishna Babu, do you want to add something?
Yes,
Rashik,
Guruji, I want to add, because in the very next line, Prabhupada says, he's not giving advice to satisfy the sex desire or with the sex only. Prabhupada says that therefore man's duty to keep a woman under his control by satisfying her, giving her ornaments, nice food and clothes, and etc.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is a little different. Prabhupada is addressing that the 9 times stronger desire, but not in the way they generally people think of to satisfy with the same nature, but he's satisfying in a different way by giving some ornaments and other engagements, which is 9 times stronger. That's I wanted to bring in.
All right. Actually, since you mentioned the next sentence, I would rather invite all of you to see the next paragraph. It is like as if Prabhupada is unapologetic. He's still going on with that, on, and he's saying, okay, how about this? A beautiful wife is an enemy. How about that one? The next paragraph starts with that. Bharya Rupavati Shatruhu. What should we be doing then? Like we execute all the beautiful women, right? Rasik Priya Sham Prabhu, please go on. Rasik Priya Sham Prabhu, please go on.
Prabhuji, my hand, I didn't put it down last time, so I think it was there.
Oh, I see. All right. Fair enough. Rukmini Hari Sevani Maji. Go ahead.
Prabhuji, same, I would say that beautiful wife or a handsome husband, both can bound each other in this material world. So this is why the goal of life is to get out of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead, or to attain Krishna Prem, and this is the main obstacle. So if I get attached to, if a spouse get attached, beautiful wife or a handsome husband, so it would be difficult. So I will spend all my life, like we are reading, in Puranjan case also. So he's getting attached to the lady. He has forgot the goal of life. He's not, so this.
You see, okay, fine, Rukmini Maji, I heard you. You see the second sentence? You said that like even if it's like a beautiful wife or beautiful, as you added that and you said that okay, even a beautiful husband can also be an enemy. But then the next sentence actually like like takes it out of our hands and makes it into something very more universal. It says, of course, every woman in the eyes of a husband is very beautiful. Now what? Now what? So like when you say beautiful wife is an enemy, whose beautiful wife? Mine? Somebody else? Whose? These things are like you can go on. If you say that like beautiful wife is an enemy, whose beautiful wife? I might find my wife lesser beautiful and the neighbor's wife more beautiful. Now what? You see, when I'm attached, then I find my wife very beautiful. But then when my wife starts answering me back, I don't find her beautiful anymore. Then I find others' wives more beautiful. Let's go on. So what's going on? You see, others may see her not as very beautiful. Others may not. So, attraction of sex, and he's talking about generally women are passionate, less intelligent. Some men should not be under the control of their passion and ignorance. Actually, this is what it's coming towards. This is how, like you see actually what Prabhupada is ultimately gradually bringing in. The idea is not to be under the control of passion and ignorance, either of one's own or somebody else. Otherwise, if you take all those statements by their face value, and Prabhupada is saying this, the same thing. If I go back there and where Prabhupada is saying, it is said that a woman's desire is 9 times stronger than a man's. It is therefore a man's duty to keep a woman under his control. Really? Really? It's the duty of the man to keep the woman under control. Oh, since when? Since when man has been given this exclusive authority to control others and become the controller in this material world? If the man is able to control the woman, who is more at risk? The man or the woman? What are you talking about? And in this world where the basic disease is to lord it over, everybody wants to become the lord of all this survey. If I give you another additional authority that, oh, you are supposed to keep this woman under control, you are the controller, what happens to the man? You see? So when you see the entire purport, you see the entire purport, what's going on inside the material world. Don't try to find anything perfect within this purport. It is pointing out the imperfections of the material world. Same thing which we discussed last week. And Prabhupada is like, basically you are into a catch-22 situation. And Prabhupada is saying that if you try to satisfy something, this happens. If you don't satisfy, then that happens. So what do you do? The same thing which we are discussing. What you do is you get out of this place. Don't try to make this place worthy of living. You only make it worthy of living as much as it is required for you, in a sense that as much as you can do it. But then it is expected that the better selves will prevail and you will try to find out the ultimate goal of life by zooming out and seeing the bigger picture. Otherwise, the whole purport will appear crazy to you, because it is crazy, because it is talking about a crazy world. So when that's why otherwise Prabhupada never says. Sometimes it is said by whom? Here now the second paragraph Prabhupada is quoting Chanakya. Why didn't Prabhupada quoted that person who says that a woman has got 9 times sex? It is said. You know what that means? That people have got different opinions. Some people even say like that. And the solution also they try to find out is this: how to control the woman by basically keep her under a permanent sense of illusion. Give them this, give them that. It's just like as you try to try to fool a kid. Constantly give them this thing, that thing, jewelry, this, that, all that. But the fact of the matter is, we are in like the material world. Everybody's in a dangerous position. So that is the basic understanding what we are actually talking about. The understanding idea is this. So proper if you see the conclusion of this thing, you will see. Let me take you to the conclusion of this paragraph. This purport, in fact. You see, the conclusion, Prabhupada is saying, the conclusion is that a household life is better than a sinful life devoid of responsibility. That's the point. That devoid like responsibility. You should take responsibility for your actions. Okay. So, so then that's the idea. And therefore it said after a certain age, a man is recommended to abandon his family life. That is the conclusion. Because ultimately, it will go on like this unless and until you give it up. I remember once Jayadvat Maharaj was asked this question in Mayapur many years ago. Maharaj, what is the conclusion of Grihastha life, Grihastha ashram? That was the question. what was the conclusion of Grihastha Ashram? I remember that plain as day, even after like 10, 12 years, because the kind of answer he gave. The question was, Maharaj, what is the conclusion of Grihastha Ashram? Maharaj said, to give it up. Typical Jayadvaita Maharaj answer. Okay. Then, as we were seeing this conclusion, so then Jayadvaita Maharaj once said that in his classes. Then when Prabhupada says conclusion, he doesn't mean confusion. अब तो यमराज भी बुला रहे हैं, बोलो मैं 10 बजे के बाद आऊंगा. Sorry, wait. Sorry. Sorry, this guard. Sorry. Conclusion. Yeah, sorry. So the conclusion, that's the idea. The conclusion is that you get out of this place. Don't try to find a meaning to these things. Who is 9 times stronger? Who is 9 times weaker? Because she is 9 times stronger. See, the next line actually beats the first line. If you say that the sex desire of woman is 9 times stronger, how much foolish would be it is on the part of the man to try to control somebody who is 9 times stronger than you? How many of you will try to do something? Somebody to try to control somebody who is 9 times stronger than you? कौन मर्द का बच्चा है जो अपनी मर्दानगी दिखाए तो उसे पता तो चले. 9 times stronger. Your line, previous slide is saying 9 times stronger, and the next line is saying, therefore they should try to control this. That's called Maya. So it's not a question of who is 9 times stronger or not, but because it's very difficult to prove that also. But what can be proved for certain is that anybody who tries to become the controller is doomed. Okay, we'll move ahead, but okay, let's have Rukmini Harsavani Maji and then we'll move.
Okay, I want to ask one question that as we are, the conclusion you have already told that it is written, Prabhupada is saying to get out of this material world. This is the conclusion. So, Prabhuji, the question is coming like, is this really a need to get into, is it a need to have a Varna ashram?
Yeah, we are all talking about it in the purview of Varnashram. Varnashram means what? Trying to keep the insane world as sane as possible. So, but that doesn't mean that the Varnashram do not acknowledge the fact that basically it's an insane world. You see? So last week, the devotee who called me up, and the devotee asked me a question, because in the same purpose you will find that Prabhupada is talking about why there used to be polygamy. And one of the arguments, the stated argument was that because when the wife is pregnant and the husband is looking for sex, therefore he should have another wife. How does that sound to you? But this is exactly how the material world is like. Prabhupada is simply basically laying bare how the material world is actually like. So much love between the husband and wife, but when the husband goes crazy by the influence of Rajagun and Tamagun, can go to any extent. It's not the husband who's going to any extent. It's the law of nature, it's the material nature, the force of the material nature. Of course, at the end of the day, the husband will have to take responsibility. He cannot just say that it's just the material nature. You cannot go to the court of law and say that it's the material nature. I killed somebody. That's there. But it's such a dangerous place. That's what it is. Okay. And of course, the society is degrading. It is not elevating. So it's just, and he's writing the whole thing from a perspective of a particular society when it used to be, and that was how it used to be. And how still it is in many parts of the world. So, yeah. So this is written from the standpoint of men actually, as it applies to men. So when you are writing the purpose, you are seeing that for whom the purpose is written. Certain things are written for women, certain things are written for men. So that's what one of the important things needs to be figured out. Actually, who is it written for? For the foolish, you will think that like what the naive who don't actually understand the whole concept, the whole context. I'm sorry. You will think that it's written for women. Wrong. It is actually written for men. The purpose is written for men. They are responsible for the situation. Why? Because in any society, the leader is held responsible, not the member. So as Vishwanath Thakur is talking about this, is saying the jiva was basically dharmic, and he is also getting contaminated by various kinds of sins, and therefore he is trying to perform charity of his vows, some atonement, some austerities. So he wants to get out of this. But because the contamination is not leaving the mind of the jiva, because it's just dharma, it is not bhakti. That's the difference between bhakti and dharma. Okay. So when you are performing dharma, so simply by the strength of dharma, you won't be able to like cross it over, and that thing will be more clear in the 6th canto, when basically Shukdev Goswami will test Parikshit by fielding him a question. Oh, you can do all this karma kanda, and you can be freed from the effects of sin. And Parikshit will jump at that idea. Hey, wait a minute. How come like somebody gets purified of the sin if the karma, if the samskar remains there? So that's what now the jiva is trying to do. Is trying to nullify the adharma by executing dharma. But because it is not fully possible, because the samskar will remain, therefore we see the mind of that jiva, although he is performing dharmic actions to counteract the adharma, his mind is torn apart by constant regret, constant guilt. That's what we see people in general, why they are consistently torn apart by guilt. Because you are trying to eliminate sinful reactions by simply performing dharma. Okay. So, of course, we understand, as Rukmini Harisavani Maji asked and pointed about the Varnashrama, yeah, because our goal is to reestablish the relationship with Krishna, that's understood, but at the same time, we cannot expect that that we will be successful in doing that by defying basically his social order. So that is given. That is given. Okay. Okay. So the basic idea is that, again, as we understand things like more like the Niyamagraha kind of thing. If you see here in verse number 4, you will see that how he is Puranjan, he's thinking about associating with his wife. So the spiritual meaning actually is like dharma, one of the first pillars, the first pillar of basically varnashram. It's like dharma, the varnashram dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So you're trying to become attached to dharma. So that is the point. That is the difficulty. Executing dharma and getting attached to dharma are two different things. So when you are getting attached to dharma, which in this case Puranjan will become, that's why he will be torn apart by guilt, because it's not working. Because the goal of dharma is not attachment to dharma, but the goal of dharma is moksha. Since now he is getting attached to dharma rather for the sake of dharma, that is in parlance of devotional service, we call it niyamagraha. If you get attached to just doing the bhakti for the sake of doing bhakti rather than for what it actually means, it is niyamagraha. Similarly, the same thing can happen even if you are dharmic. Okay. So basically what's happening here when in the purports, as Prabhupada is writing and showing by the example of Puranjan. See, this material enjoyments, basically, which mostly you can enjoy during the youth. So, and that is, but that is pleasing to the person who doesn't have any spiritual training. That is the subtle difference. This is something called material enjoyment. And for that, youth is the optimum age. But only a person who doesn't have any spiritual training, he enjoys them. The person who doesn't have to have don't have spiritual training, but the person who has spiritual training, he doesn't enjoy them. Okay, why? Because if you are only trained according to the bodily conception of life, so then you will go on because that enjoyment generally in our times, you can see that doesn't last beyond 40. After 40, it starts dwindling, which is basically the name of the chapter. Attack by the Chandavega means time. Now that time will attack the body. So then the response to the stimulus, which in this case is like material enjoyment, and the response to that, lesser and lesser pleasure. It will start happening. Okay. So here also we will see how this is gonna happen. And oh yeah, this is a very important section, of course, here. A little tangential, but since it is there, I think we will deal with this. Yeah, here. See, I'm going to verse number 9. Yeah. Wait, what's happening? I think I messed up with the verse number. Let me see what's going on. Yeah, here. No. I missed it somewhere. Okay, it's my fault. I missed it. I mixed up a few things. Okay, let's go to verse number, to the section where it talks about verse number 13 to 18. So here it was all about the basic understanding. And then we go to verse number 13 to 18. Yes, here it is. Yeah, actually it is later on. I was thinking about Narad Muni being cursed by Jara. So that is not 9, that's 19 actually. I missed the one. Okay, need a volunteer to read this for me. Verse number 13 to 18.
May I
Go
read?
on. Go on.
Narad describes a Gandharva king named Chandavega, who with his 360 soldiers and 360 female companions plundered Puranjan city for 100 years. They wore down the city's serpent protector, placing Puranjan and his associates in deep anxiety. In his bewilderment, Puranjan remained oblivious to his impending death.
Yes. So that's where we see the condition Puranjan. Okay. So he is oblivious to what's going on around him. And he is attacked by Chandavega here. Now finally, 360 means the year. Consists of 360 days and 360 nights. So now he is being attacked. Okay. So let's see. moving strongly, as I said, like from birth. See, actually Chandravega is attacking from right from the day of his birth. Every day the lifespan is stolen by time, but it becomes more evident after 40. And now it is becoming more and more evident. Okay. So, so that's what Prabhupada is actually focusing on, verse number 14. Let's see this. Yeah, here. I think it would be good if we read a part of that purport. Right. You see, this is verse number 14 purport. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, this one. Second paragraph. Somebody like to read this? I need a volunteer to read it for me. A couple of sentences at least. At least the first 2 or 3 sentences. Go on. Darukrishna, go on.
The plundering of our possessions and life span begins with the day of our birth. One day will come when death will finish everything, and the living entity will have to enter another body to begin another chapter of life, and again begin the cycle of material sense gratification. Prahlad Maharaj described this process as Puna Puna Charveta Charvananam. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30. Materialistic life means chewing the chewed again and again. The central point of material life is sense gratification.
Yes. So
Different.
you see, that's the point. When Prabhupada is saying the central point of material life is sense gratification. So this is basically the Shastra Chaksha. This is how I see this part of the purport. These are the kinds of purports which we use to see the material world. Okay. We don't see Bhagavatam through the material world. We see the material world through the eyes of Bhagavatam. So what people say, whatever they have to say, but this is how I see the material world, through the eyes of Bhagavatam. The Punash Charvita Charvanana. This is the Shastra Chakshu, which is given by the Bhagavatam. Okay. You may discover many ways to squeeze the juice out of the sugar cane, but the result is the same. That is the central point of material life, is sense gratification. Something very grave Narad Muni is trying to teach Puranjan. It's something what he is trying to teach. So, yeah. So what happens basically is when one becomes old, it becomes impossible, as we were discussing, to enjoy material life. After a point of time, it becomes impossible. Increasingly difficult to the point when it becomes impossible. So what happens, people think that those people who have not yet reached that point, they think, and which are very large in number, exceedingly large in number, those people think that religion, dharma, all these things, whatever piety, religious piety, okay, dana, and all these things. So that all comes at the end of the life. You see? And at this time, one generally becomes meditative and take to some so-called yogic process. But actually, it's simply a fast at that time. Who have enjoyed, like, life of sense gratification. He cannot do that. All he can do is he will take to a process which can in any way help to maintain his senses as much as possible in the given circumstance. That has got actually nothing to do with spirituality. So when we see many old people, quote unquote, taking to spiritual life, in most of the cases, that is their plan B, that is their insurance plan to now relive their senses into to some extent, or at least check the progress of the degradation of the senses. The basic program is the same. Sense enjoyment. If I cannot enjoy my senses like I used to do before, let me at least check the degradation of the senses. by doing all these things, so-called quote unquote religiosity. Anyway, so now having said that, now we will see. Actually, now the Chandavika has come and he is attacking the city as you saw, and we saw the Sarpa, and the Sarpa means Kal Sarpa, that means his life air. Okay, so all of them are like, because there's this allegory going on, so everything has got a parallel. So now we will see how Chandavika's daughter, Jara, or in this case, her specific name is Kal Kanya, she is gonna attack the city. Yes, Dharakrishna Prabhu, go on.
Prabhuji, my question is this, that in our Varnashram also, that it's been suggested after 50 one should go for a Vanaprastha, and after 75 one should go for a sannyas. At least they should. Prabhuji, my question is here, same thing you are saying, that once when person is not able to use his senses, is somewhat take an insurance plan and want to utilize that that senses would not degrade. So I think both things are same, or is there anything different, Prabhuji? I wanted to check from you.
Sorry, I didn't realize my microphone is turned off. Yeah, it is very same. I'm sorry, it's very similar, but it's not the same, of course. It's very similar. But the first person, as you said about as the person who is as part of Varnashrama is training, he is preparing for this. Whereas in the other case, which I was referring to, he is just trying to delay the obvious. He's trying to postpone the, like the ultimate, the doomsday scenario that's going to happen. He's just trying to postpone his doom. But whereas in the first case, when he's talking about the Varnashram, because it is part of a school, it's part of a training. So he is ready for this. So that is certainly, that is the aim is different. That aim is sense gratification. Quoted in the quoted within the idea of so-called discipline. You see, he never practiced any form of discipline in his life. Now they just want to follow some sort of discipline, yoga discipline. Why? For what? So that he can at least maintain his sense gratification, if he cannot even increase it. Or like if it is like slipping out, he just is trying to keep it as much as possible for as long as possible. So whereas in the case of dharma, there is no idea of sense gratification for dharma, because dharma talks about engaging the senses, or worse, dedicating the senses. So that's the difference. Okay, Dharakrishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, got it. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, let's have it then. Verse number 19 to 30, and by this we will finish this chapter.
Shall I read?
Go on.
Narada relates how he was cursed by the unpopular daughter of time, Kal Kanya, for refusing to accept her marriage proposal. The frustrated Kal Kanya later proposed to Yavanaraj, who instead accepting her as a sister. He engaged her along with his soldiers and younger brother Prajvar in attacking people in general.
Yes. So here again we see there is this allegory going on, but within this allegory, there may be, or in fact, Prabhupada is indicating there is some factual details also. Okay. So what are those factual details? Let's go ahead and see what Prabhupada has to say, and Vishnu Thakur has to say. Sorry. So, Jara or Kalkanya, okay. Those who are too much sexually addicted becomes victims of Jara. Who becomes the victim of Jara? So there's a difference between Jara coming to me and being victimized by Jara. You see, that's a subtle thing. Those who are too much sexually addicted, they become victims of Jara. Okay. So, and very soon their lifespan is shortened. That's the evidence. Everybody is being attacked by Jara, but the person who becomes a victim of Jara is the one who is too much sexually attracted, has been attracted. So his lifespan goes down. That's why we see the stipulated lifespan of Kali Yuga is 100 years. That's for sure. As we speak today, 2023, the lifespan is 100, but the life expectancy is 77. Why? Because of this. The more one is sexually inclined, addicted, addicted, the other lifespan shortens. Without utilizing this human form, okay, so people become victims of Jara and they die. So here you see, let's go to verse number 22. It's like from 19 to 30. So then I'm going to verse number 22. Let's see what do we have here. Yeah. You see, the great Narada, sage Narada continued. He's telling the story to Puranjan, is saying, when I refused to accept her request, the request of Jara, Kalkanya, then Narada, okay, what was the request? Let's go here. Once I came to this earth from Brahmaloka, Narada is talking about. The highest planetary system, the daughter of time, that means Kalkanya, Jara, wandering over the universe, met me. She met me. Knowing me to be an avowed brahmachari, she became lusty and proposed that I accept her. So, what's going on here? Of course, one thing we understand that Narad Muni is ever youthful. So that's why he's ever youthful, because he didn't accepted the proposal of time. But in another way, you will see the Prabhupada will be telling at the end of the purport, I'll show you the chapter where he is writing that these things may look an allegory, but these things may be factual also. It is also factual. It can be factual, very much factual. So then what happens? When I refused to accept her request, she became very angry and cursed me severely. Because I refused her request, she said that I would not be able to stay in one place for a long time. And that's why we see Narad Muni constantly wandering in the material world. Because the curse doesn't have any effect on the spiritual world. That you cannot stay at one place won't be applicable if Narad Muni chooses to stay inside Vaikuntha. But when he comes outside of the Vaikuntha, he does not stand in one place, but he keeps moving around. And that's exactly what the job of Narad Muni is. He is a Parivrajagacharya by his profile. Not by his actual adhikar, but by his profile. The service profile is that he is a Parivrajagacharya. Whereas his personality profile is that he is a Paramahamsa. So here we see that thing. And we also see if you you wrote it down somewhere. Let me see where did I write it down. Anyway. So here we see Prabhupada is also drawing an inference in this purport. Yeah, here. You see the purport? Here Prabhupada is writing. I need a volunteer to read it out for me from here, like Narad Muni, till the end of the purport. I need a volunteer.
Like Narad Muni, many other devotees of the Lord are engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord in different places and in different universes. Such personalities are beyond the jurisdiction of material laws.
That's the point. They are actually beyond the jurisdiction, actually, just like Narad Muni is beyond the jurisdiction of that curse. But similarly, that kind of Vaishnavas, all these Vaishnavas who are preaching, they are also not coming under that jurisdiction. So if they move, when they move on their own accord based on their service needs. Okay. All right. So this more or less we are at the fag end of this chapter. Let me just see if whatever is required, if something is remaining. Okay, I already discussed this. And then okay, this is a very interesting conversation. Like Vishnu, that's the style of Vishwanath Thakur. He will raise a question and answer the doubt. Then the last verse of this chapter, verse number 30, it says, it is talking about Prajwal. Let's go there first. Let's go there first. Here. Okay. The king of the Yavanas continued, here is my brother Prajwara. Now, I now accept you as my sister. I shall employ both of you, as well as my dangerous soldiers, to act imperceptibly within this material world. Okay. You see, here it is there. The second paragraph. You can read a few sentences. Somebody might read a few sentences from here. What is Prajwara?
The word, should I read, Prabhuji?
Go on.
The word, yes, Prabhuji. The word Prajwara is very significant, for it means the fever sent by Lord Vishnu. Such a fever is always set at 107 degrees. The temperature.
Okay. So fever sent by Lord Vishnu. Prajwar. That's why you see in 10th canto we will find the fight between the Vishnujwar and Shivajwar. So this is the Prajwar of Vishnu. Go on.
Thus the king of the Mlechas and Yavanas requested the daughter of time Kalkanya to become his sister. There was no need to ask her to become his wife, for the Yavanas and Mlechas do not make distinctions as far as sex life is concerned. Thus, one may outwardly be a sister, mother, or daughter and still have sex. Yavan Raja's brother was Prajwar and Kalkanya was invalidity itself. Combined and strengthened by the soldiers of Yavan Raj, namely non-hygienic conditions, illicit sex, and ultimately a high degree of temperature to bring on death, they would be able to smash the materialistic way of life.
Boss. Yes. This is how the materialistic way of life comes to an end. Although here is said, Narad Muni was immune to the attack of Jwara, as we saw that in the previous verse. Why? These destructive forces cannot attract any follower of Narad Muni or a pure Vaishnava. Okay. So at the same time, we see, okay, fine, that the devotees won't be attracted by the destructive force of time. Basically, it's not going to affect any follower of Narad Muni. Is it correct? The follower of I mean, the Narada Muni basically, he won't be attracted, or the follower of the Narada Muni won't be attracted by these things. Jara. How do you find that? How do you find that?
Hare Krishna.
Go on.
In a second canto Puri, आइए भक्ति भक्ति नाम उद्दानस्थ चाहिए रसो तस्य अति अच्छो तो उत्तम श्लोक वार्ता है. So devotees engage his time in the uttam shloka vartaya. That's why maybe they goes near to Lord in course of time, not far away from Lord. That's why it's not affect the devotees. I think so, Prabhuji. It's not very.
Okay, I will give it to you. It's not entirely wrong. It's not entirely wrong. I'll give it to you. So yes, the point is the significance. What is you see is there is that the Narada Muni was immune to the attack of Jara, invalidity. So that is one of the telltale signs of a devotee. A Bhava Bhakta or a Prem Bhakta, he doesn't get attacked so easily by Maya also. Okay? So that's a fact. With this, we are concluding this chapter. Okay. Do devotees need any break or should we continue?
Need break, Prabhuji.
Break, okay. We take 7 minutes break. Will that be fine? We'll all reconvene at 8:10.
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, Krishna. Hare Krishna. So here I am back, the last chapter of this unit. Puranjan becomes a woman in the next life. Okay. So now we will see the significance of, rather I would say, the deliverance of Puranjan. Now we will see Puranjan in his full glory. It's just like the turnaround when we see in the life of Ajamil. So this is the most glorious part. Okay. So it's got 65 verses in this chapter. It's quite a long chapter, but it's like divided into these 3 sections. So I would request devotees, one of the volunteers, to read the first 26 verses, is summary for us, and we will move on. Go on.
Yavanraj, Prajvar, Kal Kanya, and their soldiers attacked and disabled the citizens of Puranjan city. Being impressed by Kal Kanya, the sex-addicted Puranjan lost his beauty, intelligence, and opulence. In his weakened condition, he was conquered by the Gandharvas and Yavanas. The defeated king became perturbed that his family members and associates had begun opposing him, being forced to leave his city. The confused king remained concerned for his family. At that time, Prajvar set fire to the inhabited city. Seeing this precarious situation, the weird serpent unsuccessfully sought to escape. Absorbed in concerns for his family's welfare and his lost assets, Puranjan began recalling his many past dealings with his wife. Yamanraj and his associates bound the king, his relatives, and the serpent, leading them away from the city, which was immediately smashed to dust. Despite his condition, the king could not remember his friend, the super soul. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the many animals whom the king had sacrificed took revenge by piercing him with their thorns.
Yes. So now the whole thing is coming to an end. But this is the violent end. But the second part in the same chapter will be a glorious beginning and a glorious end. It's like this chapter now, because the Puranjan has left his worn out city with his wife, which basically means what? He has left his body, and Puranjan will attain bhakti by the influence of the devotees. Okay. So now the first 26 verses talking about how the body has been given up. Okay. So if you see the first purport of this chapter, purport, yeah. Well, let's go to the screen. Sorry. Here. So, okay. Okay. This is the relevant part for us. So why don't one of us read this part? Okay. Kindly read this part. This is the more relevant part for our discussion. It's more from a standpoint of a personal application. Go on. Go on, please.
Man is young, he does not care for old age, but enjoys sex to the best of his satisfaction, not knowing that at the end of his life, his sexual indulgence will bring on various diseases, which so much disturb the body that one will pray for immediate death. The more one enjoys sex during youth, the more he suffers in old age.
Okay, so for whom is this purport specifically? This part of this purport is specifically meant for whom? Any ideas? All the participants? For whom is this specific purport meant for? This specific part?
For sadhakas.
Okay, let's see. Have other thoughts? Let's have other thoughts. For whom? It's written actually.
For devotees.
Okay. और देखते हैं.
For
Other
the
thoughts?
young.
Okay.
For the young, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, Ganga Shaktiman, you are also saying young man. Jia Mataji also writing young man. Young. Okay, yes, Jia Mataji, it is young. What is this? For whom specifically?
Man, आदमी.
Ah, young man. It's clearly written, no? I mean, how hard is this to see this? So when a man is young, it's not written for everybody. It's specific. Now that Prabhupada told enough about like what people like to think about women, what should be doing, now comes the reality check. Because Narad Muni was preaching to Puranjan or Prachinabari in that case, the man. So it is the men who are actually more susceptible to these things. Okay, the quote and unquote weaker sex is actually not weak. Is the so-called like the person who is under the understanding or the imagination that he is the stronger sex. He is actually more on the receiving end. That's what it's talking about. See that this is the personal application part. So you understand that it is basically more for the men than for the women. Anyway, because it is natural for pious people, like they will take shelter of old, like God in the old age. But if they are pious, they will take shelter always of God. It's only the impious that tend to take shelter of illusion, and then trying. We see now in so many people we see like even they are like they'll still mimic the young people, trying to look as young as possible, trying to behave. Nothing has changed, still as young. Basically, not they cannot accept the fact that things have changed. So yeah. Anyway, so now let's move on a little. Okay, now see what's going on after, like now, because he's gonna die. Let's go on to evaluate another juicy part of this purport before we actually go to the more spiritually relevant areas. Okay, these parts which I'm discussing for the sake of not just the course, but also like from the standpoint of the philosophical understanding that Prabhupada wants us to have. Okay, let's Darukrishna Prabhu, you have your hand up. Is it for reading or is the contribution you want to make?
I had the question with the previous purport.
Oh, I see. Let me go back there. This is one here.
Yeah. Prabhuji, I had a question that this is the only cause that if a young man enjoys trying to becomes the reason for his suffering in the old age, or this is one of the cause?
Yeah, of course, this is what everybody understands. This is one of the cause, but this is a prominent cause because it's there given like in the last chapter also. I didn't brought that up, but Prabhupada actually made a comparison between the tendency to overeat and the tendency for sexual indulgence. He didn't at that time, he didn't made a correlation. Just like in nectar of instruction, there is a correlation. So the more you like eat more, then you have got that desire to enjoy more. But here Prabhupada this was comparing in the previous chapter. I didn't took the purport, but he was actually comparing, and maybe since I didn't take the purport, that's why I'm facing the question. Then I understand, like, okay, now I understand the genius of Atul Krishna Babu, why he probably put it there that it should be discussed, and I didn't discuss that. Only to be encountering a question specifically was meant for that. But thank you for bringing that in. So there he is saying that between these two, this this addiction for eating versus the addiction for sexual indulgence. The addiction for sexual indulgence is even more acute. So Prabhupada is discussing the more acute problem, with the understanding that if he discusses the more acute problem and we understand, trying to figure it out how to handle it, so we might be in a position to handle the lesser acute problems. So that's why it is being discussed here. Not just that, but not just that this is the only problem, but this is one of the most formidable problems, and everything else is like just falling behind that. If you can handle this one, maybe you have got a good chance to handle the other ones. So that's what I understand it to be. Okay, Krishna Babu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, if you don't mind, I have a little sidetrack question along.
Go on, let's see.
Prabhuji, that we discuss about the 4 pillars of dharma, and here we are discussing about one of this
One of them.
sex we can discuss, say. But I asked one of the senior devotee the same question, that which is the more prominent and which can be the more harmful for the mankind. Then that Prabhuji said that that more dangerous than sex is the intoxication is. But in Bharat,
Actually, every of this, each of these vices, I mean, it's like you can only keep on comparing which one is more ugly, because it depends on from what standpoint you are looking at it. You see, so because these are, see, the point is, when you are trying to fix a problem, then you have to focus one thing at a time. See, if you want to solve a problem, you should always separate the problems. But if you want to increase the problem, bring them together. You see? So if you want to solve the problems, then you'll have to take a piecemeal approach and solve one at a time. And therefore, in Bhagavatam, in this section, Shukdev Goswami is solving this one aspect by using these conversations. And like, that doesn't mean that the other aspects have been anyway discounted. When the time comes, they will discuss the other aspects also. All the four. Since now this is being discussed, so now when we are talking about sex indulgence, we mentioned that in the previous class, that sex is generally attached to the concept of or the value of cleanliness, right?
Right.
The virtue of cleanliness, yes. But if you see in first canto, we discussed that, you might be remembering that we discussed that actually these verses or these sections are not just discussed so much from the point of view of cleanliness, but from the point of view of false ego.
Yes,
pride, in fact. So this, we are actually dealing with the negative value of pride, not actually that is for the grosser understanding of sex indulgence. Everybody understands that. And as we are discussing, just like now he's in Jara. So when somebody is already old, so there is no way for him to, enact or function in that level, because the body will stop supporting long ago. Body will stop supporting long ago. So is that what is my primary problem? No. My primary problem is my false ego, right? What we are actually discussing here is basically how to get rid of pride. That is the subtle aspect. Thank you for bringing that question in. We discussed that last year, but I think it's important to, bring that into perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Buddha. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's go to verse number 19, where there is something to be evaluated. Okay, we will try to evaluate the section of this purport and we'll see. Okay. Past dealings, submissive. Yeah, here. Okay. How about this statement? Just 2 sentences. I need a volunteer to read it aloud and then we will see. Try to evaluate this.
May I read, Prabhuji?
May I,
One,
Prabhuji?
sorry, Ganga Shakti Maji goes first.
The woman being overly attached to her husband becomes a man in her next life. Of course, it is an advantage for a woman to become a man, but it is not at all advantageous for the man to become a woman.
Okay. How do you find this? In fact, one of the students asked me this question because last week this didn't happen. And one of the devotees asked me the very same question. The same question. And they came to this conclusion that, Prabhu, if I get a next life, I would like to become a brahmachari. I will be in the brahmachari ashram. So, how would you advise them? Amarendra Prabhu is writing me directly. Both are bad. You can write it in public also. Both are bad. No need to hide it. Yeah, both are bad. So then why is it like Prabhupada is writing like this? Daru Krishna Prabhu, go on.
Buddha, although both are bad to take, or any species we
Any
take, but
job.
not good. But in the 9th canto, we see that king choose to become the female to enjoy more.
Sudamna.
Yeah.
King Sudamna. Yeah. Okay, fine. And now here we will see something. Although Prabhupada is writing this, it is not at all advantageous for the man to become a woman, right? But you will see in the subsequent purports and chapters, it is the woman who will make it. It's the woman who's going to make it back. He couldn't make it back while he was a man. He'll make it back when he's a woman. So the point, that is the idea is, you're like your chips may be down, but you are never out. If you are executing Krishna consciousness, you're never out. Let's see what else has been written over here. Some really big piece written over here. We will return in the material world. We have studied in our medical sexual intercourse is very beneficial. Many advantages are there. I mean, it releases depression, anxiety. Only when one enjoys with multiple partners, then it can cause sexually transmitted diseases. Last line of purport mentions that the one who that the more one enjoys in young life, the more one will become diseased in old age. Little confusing. Please explain. Yes, thank you, Jiyamaji, for bringing that question in. And certainly, I am not a medical student, so my take on it will be more based on what the Shastras are interpreting over here, because that's what is my mandate, to interpret the Shastra in the language of our times. So now that you are bringing in that, it says the sexual intercourse is very beneficial. It has got many advantages. We don't quite really see it that way, because we don't see advantages with strings attached. If something is advantageous, we see it on that very same merit. If something is advantageous, it's advantageous. It doesn't come with a savior. It is very advantageous, but it is very advantageous. However, it is a very advantageous conditions applied. So that really actually gives us more depression than anything else. So we don't see things like we don't see like how to make political correct statements. These are politically correct statements as we see it. If something is advantageous, it's advantageous. There's no strings attached to it, no holds barred. So that's how we see it, and that's as you pointed out here. But the last line of the purport mentions that the more one enjoys in young life, the more one will become diseased in old age. Yeah, this is a little confusing. Yeah, it is confusing because the body has limits. You can keep asking questions to the body when you are young, but the body starts answering back when it is old. That's what. And that's the fact of the matter. Like, given the chance, now in the same medical parlance, if I give you an option that I need a blood transfusion, whose body I'm gonna rely on? A young man's body or an old man's body? You see? So if I need a liver transplant, what kind of liver would I be looking for? Liver from a healthy young man, or maybe somebody who has died? So these things don't really corroborate with each other. So because these kind of explanations help to keep some industry running, because that's what the 70 to 80% of the industries are all about. They run on the strength of sexual attraction, objectification of specifically of the woman. The poor woman she doesn't understand. Like she I mean, they understand, but then there's hardly you can do anything about it. Take for example, there is a news show going on. It's basically all about transmitting the news, and there is a newsreader sitting there, and he's a male. Along with that newsreader, there is a female newsreader sitting there. She's not doing much of the talking. Why she is there? She's just there for the ornamental value. You see, that kind of things is basically another form of exploitation of women. If there's a newsreader, she's competent. Let her do news reading. Why do you need that male partner over there? She can do that. She can handle it, but they don't think that she is competent enough. She is there only for the ornamental value of it. So the list goes on and on and on. That's why we see discrimination in the material world. So because nobody is actually honest about it. Yeah, as Amarendra Babu is writing, again he gave me a direct message. You can give the message publicly, Prabhu. It's like it will be beneficial for everybody, because otherwise I have to read it out again. According to Ayurveda, that is again another traditional medical science, he says, that says the celibacy has got many advantages. So yeah. And we see in many parts of the world, I mean specifically in India, when there are certain diseases which are when the conventional allopathic medicine, they say that there's nothing they can do much about that, and then those people turn to Ayurveda, and many of them come back alive. So it's not that simple as that. That's why we have got multiple systems of treatment, and every system of treatment has got a different philosophy. Homeopathic has got a different philosophy. Naturopathy, yet another philosophy. So it's just I don't see it like how one shoes fit all can be applied here. I'm not sure, GMRG, how much I am able to do justice at the end of the day. you are still doctor with an MBBS. But that's what I understand. Every general treatment requires celibacy. Yeah, many times it does. Many times it does. Many times. So, yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, so now we were there. Okay, we already discussed verse number 19. Okay, now let's go towards the happy ending. Okay, what is that happy ending? Is now Puranjan is gonna take the next birth, and it is this part I would wish to discuss in greater detail. I was just like skimming through, but now it's this part I would like to discuss in greater detail. Okay. Okay, go on. Someone like I need a volunteer to read out from 27 to 50. Please.
May I, Prabhuji?
Go on. Oh, Leela Pyasa ki Maji. Go ahead.
Verses 27 to 50. Leaving his body while remembering his wife, Puranjana took his next birth as the beautiful princess Vaibhava. Marrying the powerful king Malayadwaja, she gave birth to one black-eyed daughter and 7 sons. Marrying his daughter to Agastya Muni and dividing his kingdom among his sons, Malayadwaja, followed by his wife, retired to solitary Kulachala to worship Lord Krishna and perform austerities. Through his spiritual practices for 100 celestial years, he developed perfect knowledge and pure devotional attraction to Lord Krishna. Exhibiting deep renunciation, Queen Vaibhava faithfully served her husband until he left his body. Lamenting pitiably, she prepared herself to perish in the funeral pyre along with her husband.
Okay, at such a such I mean at such a turn of events, the purport stops. I mean the section stops. Okay, so let's see this one. So what's going on? He was living in his body, remembering his wife, right? So therefore he became beautiful princess Vaibhava. Is it all natural and logical? Sounds familiar?
Yes,
Sounds
Prabhuji.
familiar to everybody, right? Okay. Nothing unusual, right? Nothing unusual. Okay, let's see this. Where is that? Yeah. You see this part? The next sentence? Maladhveja followed by his wife, retired to solitary Kulachal to worship Lord Krishna and perform austerities. That is my question. How did that happen? Puranjan was a sense gratifier, right? Right or wrong? Puranjan was a sense gratifier, right? Okay. His wife, Puranjani, what was she? Was she a saint? No. She was also sense gratifier. But then what happened? How come he got next birth and got association of a powerful devotee like Maladhvaj? What's going on here? Did somebody notice that?
Prabhuji,
Here is this guy.
getting
Yes.
instruction from Narad.
So Narad Muni is standing over there and is saying that actually this is the hint that after all this is actually not an allegory. It is actually a factual story. Had it not been a factual story, you cannot join these two threads together. How come a sense gratifier dying with his life's breath, thinking about his wife, who was also a sense gratifier, ended up in the house of a prince, which is like Suchinam Shimatam Gehe. And then Yoga Prashtabhija, and then like going on to attain her perfection. So in the story of Puranjan, Narad Muni never said that Narad Muni has visited Puranjan. You see, that part of the story, Narad Muni didn't spell out. Narad Muni only told how Puranjan was living his life with Puranjani, what happened, all these things, and then finally Chandavega attacked. But in the whole story, Narad Muni didn't mention his presence inside that story of Puranjan. He only said that, okay, like that everybody can figure out that Narad Muni is telling the story to Prachin Bari. So in that sense, in case of Prachina Bari, if Prachin Bari dies, remembering his wife, which by the way, it is not so much mentioned in this section. All we know is that Prachin Bari was attached to Karma Kanda. It is actually not mentioned that Prachin Bari was overly attached to his wife. Otherwise, what do we see here? Prachin Bari is sending his 10 sons for austerity. Pracheta, is it not? What do you think? A person attached to his wife is going to do that? Don't do that. So it is not that Prachina Bari was so much attached to his wife. At least we don't get any evidence of that. He was only attached to Karma Kanda. Whereas in this case, Puranjan was very much attached to his wife. But there was, although it is not explicitly mentioned by Narad Muni, about Narad Muni, but it can be deduced. Unless and until this happened, there's no way Prachin Bari getting the birth of Vaidarbhi and yet becoming a devotee. You see? These are the things where you read in between the lines. Okay. So now we will go gradually into those sections, those areas. And let me see what can I find for you. Okay. So here in verse number 29, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Prabhupada, I'm just mixing in the purports together, and I'm just pointing out those specific sections. Now you won't find much room for discussions, because like the second part of the story, it is more about success. It's a success story. So there's not much to discuss here now in that sense, except to highlight a specific portions which will be very, very reassuring for us, the sadhakas. Technically, I would say this section of Puranjan has been covered. But the actual part which is for the devotees, which may not be assessed, these are not the parts what we are discussing now, are not the parts which we will discuss assessing, but are the parts we were waiting for as sadhakas. We'll discuss that. Okay. So just go on hearing. So here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, as long as the jiva does not have bhakti, he cannot get deliverance from samsara. Have we understand that thing? Okay. That is shown in Puranjana's next life as Vaidarbhi, where he attained association with a devotee through marriage, Malayadvaja. Okay. So before marriage, she didn't have that association, but she had that samskara. She had that sukriti. That's why she got that. Now when this happens, so what is happening? So it's say that then basically Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out that bhakti arises in the jiva in some birth, but from sudden association with the devotee. So it now like it triggered. Okay. So because here Malayadvaj also, now Malayadvaj has been seen as a king, shown as a king who has conquered all his enemies. What does that mean? That means the person, that devotee Malayadhvaj, who has conquered all his anarthas. All is the reaction to his sinful activities. So now that person, the person who has conquered on his anarthas, a person who is on the stage of Nishta. Okay. So now the story moves on. Okay. Why? Because now he can, at this point of time, he can discriminate between matter and spirit. And as you see, because it says that it says that it is the kingdom of Pandya. Although there is such a kingdom of Pandya in South India. But here the kingdom of Pandya, as the allegory, it actually shows that the kingdom of Pandya actually represents the doubts that arises out of different philosophies, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is like Tattva Vibhrama. Okay, so that kind of Vibhrama that can come for in the line of Krishna consciousness, the doubts in sadhana bhakti, that he is able to cut those doubts, and he has crossed to Nishta. Okay, so now by that, because he got that, then he gets a reward, and that reward is a daughter. Okay, so okay, we understand that there will be a husband and a wife, then there will be kids. So that's the daughter. But here, who's the husband and who's the wife? Both Malayadhvaja and Vaidarbhi are the wives. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Husband is Krishna. So Krishna giving the husband and wife the daughter Asitekshana. Asita means one. Who? Asit means Krishna. One of the names of Krishna is Asita. Asita Ekshana. Ekshana means eyes. The glance of Krishna. What is the glance of Krishna? Mercy. So now, after a sadhaka fights through anartha nivriti, he invites the glance of Krishna. That is the first reward. It's not for free. Nothing. There's no free lunch going on here. Okay. So if you want glance of Krishna, you impress him by your bhakti. So he does that. And by that, now what is that glance? More tangibly, it is the taste. Ruchi. What happens after Nishta? Ruchi. So Krishna is giving that taste. In the story, it's just their daughter, but actually it's the taste. So by the mercy of Krishna, mercy of spiritual master, the jiva develops the taste for serving Krishna. Okay. So now it is coming. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to verse number 31 and let's find out some significant aspect here about personalism. Okay. More about personalism. Here. You may read this. I need a volunteer to read it aloud for me. For all of us, in fact. Go on. This is, you see, verse number 31. Purport. This is the second paragraph. Read on.
Among Vaishnavas, there may be some difference of opinion due to everyone's personal identity. But despite all personal differences, the cult of Krishna consciousness must go on. We can see that under the instructions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj began preaching the Krishna consciousness movement in an organized way within the past 100 years. The disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj are all God brothers, and although there are some differences of opinion, and although we are not acting conjointly, every one of us is spreading this Krishna consciousness movement according to his own capacity and producing many disciples to spread it all over the world. As far as we are concerned, we have already started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and many thousands of Europeans and Americans have joined this movement. Indeed, it is spreading like wildfire. The cult of Krishna consciousness, based on the 9 principles of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnuhu, Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, Srimad Bhagavatam 5.23, will never be stopped. It will go on without distinction of caste, creed, color, or country. No one can check it.
Okay. So here we see Prabhupada's confidence and Prabhupada's threadbare factual acknowledgement that how a spiritual movement might be started under the instruction of such Siddha personalities as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and starting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then his disciples carrying it forward. And although there are differences of opinion, although we are not acting conjointly, every one of us is spreading this Krishna consciousness movement according to his capacity and producing many disciples to spread it all over the world. Okay, so that's the basic spirit. That is the basic spirit. Okay, there can be different personalities, but the different personalities have their own greatness in the estimation of Prabhupada. In the eyes of Prabhupada, they're all great devotees. Okay. Okay, so now you see, it says, wait. Actually, these names are actually very interesting. These names are very interesting. Let's go to the names. After verse number 31, from 32 onwards, the names are very interesting. You see, it says, the great sage Agastya married the firstborn daughter, Maladhvaja, a devotee, of course he was devotee. From her, one son was born, whose name was Drida Achyuta. You see the name? Drida Achyuta. So what does that signify actually? Because these are just what's going on now. Different things are being produced in the line of bhakti. One aspect of bhakti, one stage of bhakti giving rise to subsequent stages of bhakti. You see, this asakti for Achyuta is very drida, very firm. Drida Achyuta. Okay. So it's going on like this. And then gradually he, let's go here, the next verse. You see, after this, the great saintly king Maladhvaja divided his entire kingdom among his sons. Then, in order to worship Krishna with full attention, he went to a solitary place called Kulachara. So then he goes to a solitary place, and for his own bhakti. Kulachara basically means what? Kulachara is the other name for Venkatalachala. It's Tirupati Balaji basically. Okay, Kulachala means now Maharaj is going to Tirupati Balaji to worship Krishna. Okay, fine. Okay, so after he has gone there, now let's see what Vaidharvi does. Okay, now our Puranjan in the next slide, what does he do? The wife of Maladhvaj in this case. Okay, immediately after the king Maladhvaj departed for Kulachala, his devoted wife, that means Vaidharvi, okay, followed him, gave him up all homely happiness despite family and children. So this is the ideal disciple. The ideal disciple follows the spiritual master, and he is now going there. She is going there, in fact. Okay, she is basically going there. So here, if you see, wait, you see this word Madira, Madira Ikshana. See this word Madira? Does that remind you of anything, Madira? This is a short A, but if it's a long A, what is that? Madira. Wine. Exactly. Wine. Madira. That is Madira, alcohol. Yeah, Madira. It's Madira. And that is what it is. You see, enchanting eyes. You see, it's like we hear in Hindi songs, Nashili aankhein, Nashili aankhon wali. But this Nashili aankhon wali, Madira, Jiva Goswami says that the word Madira is another synonym for Krishna. Madira is one of the many names of Krishna. Madira Ikshana means actually the eyes which are imbued with Krishna. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. आंखों में कृष्ण बसे हैं. Madira Ikshana. Then I felt that like Jiva Goswami should not miss what Jiva Goswami has to say. The Lord who gives joy. Madira means Krishna who gives joy. Okay. So here it is. So now we see that this intense desire for, like it is arising for intensely to the eagerness to see Krishna. Now Maladhvaj, that's why he left everything behind and he came to Venkatachal, Tirupati Balaji, and he just want to see Krishna. And with his wife, who has got Madira eyes. The eyes to see Krishna, who is joyful, who gives joy to everybody. So now that ruchi is developing into asakti, more intensity. We saw after marriage, it was anartha nivritti. Nishtha. But from Nishtha, Krishna gave them the blessings. They got ruchi. When they got ruchi, then now it's not like now Maladhva said, okay, now Krishna gave me ruchi, then Krishna is going to give me asakti also. No. He left everything behind. He showed his Drida Achyuta, one of his daughters. So he showed his determination. No, I want Achyuta now. Even more. The more Krishna gives me things to draw me closer to him, the more I want to go near to Krishna. And then he goes there. As a result of that, he gets asakti. Now, okay, now he gets that asakti. So now let's see what's going on. Now it's going to become more and more intense. This is a very extremely important part. Now what I'm going to read. Okay. Or maybe what I can do is I can share my document directly here. It says Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay. I'm just highlighting those portions. This is directly Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Visible? Okay. But I'm reading it myself because I know it might require some explanation. Okay. That's why I'm not asking you to read. Because the tendency is when I ask you to read, everybody else sleeps. So I'm reading it myself. Okay. By that Rati, the Lord appeared everywhere. That asakti. Okay. Asakti is also known by the term Rati. Two things. Okay. He realized the Lord as a form suddenly appearing in all directions. Okay. Sthavar Jangam Dekhe Dekhe tar murti Sarvatra Hoye Ishtadev Spurti. This Ishtadev Spurti is categorically different from the 7th chapter practicing the 7th chapter practice of the sadhaka to see Krishna in everything. That is different. Rasogham apsu kaunteya prabhashmi sasishurayo is the practice of seeing the vibhuti of Krishna in everything. This is different. This is experiencing Krishna everywhere. Krishna means Krishna here. Okay. So here we have to understand the difference. Okay. The non-difference, which in itself carries the difference. Okay. How many of you have heard? I'll come back to this, but this needs to be discussed. How many of you have heard this verse? Nam Chittamani Krishna Chaitanya Vigraha Purna Shubha Nam Namino. How many of you have heard this? Okay, good, very good. So this verse, what is this saying? That Krishna's name and Krishna are Krishna's name and Krishna non-different? Non-different, right? Fine. So then that means Krishna and his name is same?
No.
No? Why not? Why not?
In one lecture you have told in Punjabi Bhakti that
Forget my lecture, I'm talking about philosophy.
and philosophical Puji, Dadaji cannot dance with holy name. He will dance with Krishna.
Okay. There you have it. There you have it. Anybody saying that kind of nonsense, you can have his you can catch him with his pants down by just proposing this. Let us have Radharani dance with Harinam. Not on the tunes of Harinam. With Harinam. Just like you see the waltz dance. Partners dancing. Let us have Harinam on one side and let us have Radharani on the other side. Okay, let me up the bait. You see, as what you say, when you are wager, basically, when you are actually playing a game of dice, if you up the wager, let me up the wager. This Radharani dancing with the deities. Okay, better yet, Radharani dancing with Mahaprasad. Not because she has got Mahaprasad, she's going to eat that and that's why she's joyful. No, I'm saying she's dancing with Mahaprasad. Okay, what about Radharani dancing with my Guru? It's not my Guru dancing with Radharani. No. It's the other way around. Radharani dancing with my Guru. Possible? No? Why not? That is the inherent bhinnata in the abhinna. And that is the achinta bheda bhet. Unless and until you understand that thing, you are living in a fool's paradise. Doesn't matter how many years of chanting you have had. That Harinam has not given you any understanding. Because you don't understand the nature of the Harinam. You may give lectures to everybody that you have to understand the deeper nature of the Harinam. But what is that understanding for you? There is a Swayamrup Krishna. He exists. Because there is a Swayamrup Krishna who exists, therefore his name exists, his form, pastimes, the Guru exists, the Bhagavad Gita exists, his remnants, the Mahaprasad exists, his expansion, the Archa exists. You cannot take it away from them. Because otherwise that will bring you a very dangerous confusion. Krishna and his deity is non-different, right? So why do you want to go back to Godhead? Just stay with the deity. Why do you need any Swarupa? Swarupa is required in spiritual world. You have got the deity with yourself, that's all. What Swarupa nonsense? The entire argument of advancing in devotional service is chopped. You see? So you have to know what philosophy starts from where, and what, like, where does it end, or where does it transforms? It's like that. And that's why every blessed day, twice or thrice a day, when we eat, we chant this mantra, and yet so many devotees chant the mantra, so few appreciate the mantra. What is that? Mahaprasade Govinde, that's the first part. Nam Brahmani is the second part. And Vaishnava is the third part. And one doesn't understand that. Swalpa Punnavatam Rajan Vishwash Naiva Jayate. It doesn't have much of merit, much of mercy, much of Purva Sukriti. It doesn't have any faith in it. It doesn't understand any of these. And the central part is Nam Brahmani. Brahmanam, Krishna's name. They don't understand. They have the sentimental idea what is Harinam. The sentimental idea what is Mahaprasad Govind. You can see the quality. You want to understand, you want to determine the caliber of a devotee, just stand back and see how he treats Mahaprasad. So, how do you know that? How the person treats Mahaprasadam, how the devotee treats the holy name, how the devotee treats the other devotees. And the first one is the most subtlest. The third one is the grossest. You treat a devotee bad, he might even, give it back to you. So you might be more careful. Mahaprasad is not going to retaliate. So these are the nuances. We understand what is Krishna. And with this background, now let's go back to the purport and what Vishnu Chakra Thakur is talking about. Now you see. Now when he's talking about he's seeing Krishna, he's seeing Krishna. He is not trying to see Krishna, which is 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita, where we are trying to see, 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita, where we are trying to see Krishna. In the sun, in the moon, in the crocodile, in the Himalayas, in the seas. But here I am seeing Krishna. Why? How come I'm seeing Krishna? By the fire of eagerness for prema. And this may happen. He fainted, Virarama. Okay. That extreme emotion might also, I might think that I'm a very hard-hearted person. I'm not going to faint. Yeah, but the point is you won't remain hard-hearted by that time. Okay. The separation was not fully relieved just by sudden appearance, you see, arising from intense separation. So, the sudden appearance of Krishna, and there is an intense separation, you lose your mental balance. An example is given. So, just like something in a dream. The hunger of a person is not relieved by eating food in a dream. I know what is food and I am experiencing hunger, but that hunger is not going to be relieved in a dream. So it has to be real now. What is the proof of such appearance of the Lord? The function of the Antakaran is the witness, not a person with an eye. Because Lord now appears in the heart. You can see in the heart. Because of the pain of the separation, does not disappear with his internal vision. He doesn't disappear. Okay. He also realized the Lord was appeared in his vision directly with his eyes. This is the stage of Bhava Bhakti. It started with Asakti, Rati. You see? Here it ended in Bhava Bhakti. That's why I just like mark those areas. This is the stage of mark. Then when Prem arose, you see, it is arising. You are not situated in Prema. Bhava is the arousal of Prema. So when the Bhava Bhakti is going further, he saw the Lord directly. That is one of the telltale signs of Bhava Bhakti. When we read in Nectar of Devotion, there are 9 characteristics of Bhava Bhakti and 8 symptoms of Bhava Bhakti. These two are very different. Chapter number 17 of Nectar of Devotion, chapter number 18 of devotional Nectar Devotion. Chapter number 18 of Nectar Devotion tells us the 9 characteristics of Bhava Bhakti, which is Nam Gane Sadaruchi, Man Shunyata, Asha Bandha, okay, Avyartha Kalatvam. These are the characteristics, not symptom. Characteristics are always internal, remember. And the symptoms are what we are more accustomed to know, which is called the Ashtasattvic Vikar. Vikar means what? Deformations. Ashtasattvic Vikar is not part of the Bhakti, but the result of the Bhakti. Whereas the 9 characteristics of Bhava Bhakti are part of that Bhakti. What constitutes Bhava Bhakti? And what is not mentioned either there or in this one is this. That in the stage of Bhava Bhakti, the devotee sees Krishna. This is the difference. That when there is Bhava Bhakti, he sees Krishna directly. And that's why the Bhava Bhakta does not need a confirmation from anybody else. Whereas us Sadhaka Bhaktas, we are always looking for that validity. That's why every time we are running from here to here, Prabhu, like how is my bhakti going on? Prabhu, please tell me, how am I advancing in Krishna consciousness? A Bhava Bhakta doesn't have that question he doesn't need to ask that question. Because he gets the answer right in front of his eyes. Okay. And when that happens, all the sufferings have been taken away. What kind of sufferings has been taken away? The result of offenses. Now the offenses starts burning. So that gives you answer to that question that Prabhu, unless and I am completely free from offenses, all offenses, every last bit of offenses, all traces of offenses. I'm not going to go back to it wrong. The last traces of offenses are only eradicated by Krishna because they are that powerful. It is not within the means of the sadhaka to eradicate it. Because if the sadhaka is that powerful that he can eradicate all the offenses on his own strength, what do you need Krishna? What do you need Krishna for? That's the difference, that we are not Yog Margas, Yog Marga devotees. We are not Yog Margis, we are devotees. Let's go ahead now with purport gradually. Okay. Now what he sees the bright effulgence spreading everywhere. You see? What is that? That is the ray of prema. The rays of prema that is spreading everywhere. That is the definition of prema bhakti. In prema bhakti, what happens? The full sun arises, and as a result of that, the whole consciousness is illuminated when the effulgence phrase, this is the stage where I can fully see my Swarupa. Getting my point? When do I see my whole Swarupa unmistakably, without any tinge of speculation? When all the lights are turned on due to Prema Bhakti. Okay. So these are those areas which needs to be known. Some devotees who are very much bothered and concerned about, Prabhu, when will I get to know my Swarupa? You may get to know your Swarupa after Asakti, but you can only see your Swarupa yourself in Prema. That is the difference. You don't act in your Swarupa in Bhava Bhakti. You can only act in your Swarupa in Prema Bhakti. That's why. So these are the questions you should be able to answer, not just to others, but to yourself first. I may know my Swarupa, but when will I be able to act in that Swarupa? Oh, in Prem Bhakti. When can I get to know my Swarupa? Maybe in Bhav Bhakti, in Asakti also. But that's not going to help me, because it is still, is it as if it is still frozen? It's still like a mannequin. Okay. Now you see, by the lamp of knowledge, which is taught by Guru, one sees himself as the possessor. You see? Atmana para Brahmani. This is how Jiva Goswami is paraphrasing this. Now you can, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is paraphrasing this. Whatever my Guru taught me during sadhana bhakti, that has come to fulfillment. And now I am the possessor of Rati. I have Rati with me. Okay. Yeah. So now is the time, because of the Swarupa. Now this seemingly very harmless verse of Bhagavad Gita becomes very, very significant. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajami aham. Now that bhajami aham is coming out as the Swarupa. In the conditioned stage, when I am worshipping Krishna according to my means, Krishna is also reciprocating according to my means. But now in the perfected stage, I have been given the very same Swarupa with the very same, like whatever Rati I have developed. Shanta Rati, Dasa Rati, Madhuri Rati, whatever Rati I have developed, this is what it happens, where it happens. Okay. All right. So now here, also in this purport, in this section, you see here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing something very interesting. Bhagavatam is like a Mohini avatar. For whom did the Mohini avatar came?
Demons.
The Devas, Prabhuji.
Mohini avatar actually came for the demons. But since Mohini avatar is there, so Krishna always likes to serve his devotees. Therefore, he also served his devotees the nectar. Okay. So it's exactly how Bhagavatam is. So whenever Bhagavatam acts like Mohini avatar for those who don't accept the pure conclusions of devotion service. So the same verses of Bhagavatam, they will start cheating you, giving you different interpretations. Okay. All right. So now you will see here, the disciple remains in serving the Guru until the perfection. Just as we will see, Till the time Maladhvaj is leaving his body, Vaidharvi is sitting by his side. Till the time the Guru is there, the disciple is serving the Guru. Similarly, Vaidharvi is sitting by the side of Malayadhvaja up till verse number 46. And now we will see the individual struggle of the disciple. In fact, let's go here and we see this purport. I remember about this purport. I'm pretty sure Daru Krishna Prabhu and some other devotees who have always been very close to Bhakti Madhura Govind Maharaj, he must have also mentioned about this purport to them as well. All of us who here who have spent some time with Bhakti Madhura Govind Maharaj would always bring this purport. So let's read this purport. Where is it? Here. Verse number 48. Go on. I'll ask you to stop. Please go on.
Whenever an Acharya comes, following the superior orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative, he establishes the principles of religion as enunciated in Bhagavad Gita. Religion means abiding by the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Religious principles begin from the time one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the Acharya's duty to spread a bona fide religious system and induce everyone to bow down before the Supreme Lord. One executes the religious principles by rendering devotional service, specifically the 9 items like hearing, chanting, and remembering. Unfortunately, when the Acharya disappears, rogues and non-devotees take advantage and immediately begin to introduce unauthorized principles in the name of so-called Swamis, yogis, and philanthropists, welfare workers, and so on.
Bus. Okay. So, do you find this like familiar? Or this is like very new to you? This purport. Does anybody find this familiar? Or like I am the only one who finds this familiar? Unless and until everybody has disappeared by now. Find this familiar? There's a chat. Somebody wrote this. Yes, familiar. Yeah. Yeah. Who is Guru here? Guru is Guru. Yes, Anilamaji. It's like either Diksha Guru, Siksha Guru, doesn't matter. Yes, Guru is Guru here. It doesn't differentiate that. It doesn't differentiate that because it's talking about the principle of Guru, not just the personality of Guru. Okay. So this is never going to stop. This is an evergreen principle. This is an evergreen purport. This purport is going to repeat itself after every 20-30 years. For every generation. So this is one of those purports. This is an evergreen purport and which is perpetually in action after every 20-30 years. You can see the purport working. All right. So in this sense, that is basically you can see the mood and mission of Prabhupada here. So what is to be done? Although the devotee, he is thinking that he is just like you see Maladhvaj here, sorry, Vaidharvi here. Okay, let's go to the translations. Let's read a couple of translations and we will figure this out, what I'm talking about. What basically Vishnu Thakur is talking about. Okay, you see what's going on. Let's go to the previous purport. Translation. Okay, see this translation here. Amarendra Prabhu, can you read this for me? This translation? It's required actually. I need this. Somebody to read this. Microphone is off. Yeah, it's on now.
Okay. While she was serving her husband by massaging his legs, she could feel that his feet were no longer warm and could thus understand that he had already passed from the body. She felt great anxiety upon being left alone, bereft of her husband's company. She felt exactly as the deer feels upon being separated from its mate.
Okay, hold on. Hold this on. Hold this on. Continue this. Continue this.
Being now alone and a widow in that forest, the daughter of Vidarbha began to lament, incessantly shedding tears which soaked her breast and crying very loudly.
Okay. Then see what's going on.
O best of kings, please give up, get up, get up. Just see this world surrounded by water and infested with rocks and so-called kings. This world is very much afraid, and it is your duty to protect her.
Yeah. And then
The most obedient wife thus fell down at the feet of her dead husband and began to cry pitifully in that solitary forest. Thus the tears rolled down from her eyes.
what we need to do here is just replace the word wife with the disciple and the husband with the guru. Getting my point? That's exactly what we were discussing. That's how it came. In the while we read that purport, and you might have felt how come suddenly the Acharya disappearance, everything came in between. It's because of this. For the wife, the husband was the guru in this case. And so that is how the disciple, if he is has really some connection with the guru, he will feel. And now you can, what we were discussing, we can see it as part of us. That, say, for example, my Diksha Guru or my Siksha Guru is going to depart or has departed. How did I felt on that time? Or were just an event, it doesn't matter. So that is how you can actually figure it out, what kind of attachment is there, and that is there for a cause. That is not the end. I felt lamentation for my spiritual master because he left the world. That's it. No. That lamentation, even with the passing breath of the spiritual master, the last thing he gives the devotee is that intense, if he has it, the intense pain of separation. And that intense pain of separation is to be transferred for Krishna so that we get prema. It is not for nothing. Everybody cries. If my father passes away, I will cry. That's not unusual. But the crying for my father, that intensity cannot be converted to get Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti. This can be. I'm going to read it for you, then it will make sense to you. See, now I'm going back to that same document I was reading. When the Guru leaves his mortal body, okay? I believe everybody can see this. Okay? When the Guru leaves his mortal body, you see, the disciple becomes overcome with lamentation, with the pain of separation. Remember, all of that which is being talked about is must be spiritual. Not is spiritual, must be spiritual. I am crying because my guru has left the world now, and as a result of that, I am insecure. The center is I. The center is not gurus, the center is not Krishna. मेरे गुरु महाराज इस दुनिया में नहीं रहे, अब मेरा क्या होगा? Yes, that's the problem. It's not me. Like the wife for a departed husband, that is Krishna, she lamented her condition. Who will protect me now? She became, having performed the last rites for his guru, the disciple then decides in his mind. This is the state of mind of the disciple now. This is the state of mind of the disciple. Okay? What is the state of disciple? This is the state. Pashane kutibo matha orone poshibo gorango premanidhi kotha bole pabo. Separated from the feet of my guru, I cannot maintain my life. My body is burning, the fire of lamentation of remembering his qualities, not my insecurities. I cannot put my energy in the bhakti of hearing and chanting that he taught. Therefore, I will die today. This line is absent. That is called tamogun. When somebody dies, and as a result of that, I cannot put my hand inside the bead bag. That is called tamogun. This is added telltale sign of a disciple, loyal disciple. So now, this was the $1 million question, $1 million statement, what we were waiting for. Read it closely. Okay. Jagat Mata Sachi Mataji, would you like to turn on the mic and read it for this statement for us?
In a state similar to separation from Guru, if one has pain in separation from the Lord will appear.
Getting my point? With the dying breath of the Guru, the intense pain we are being transferred because of the separation, if we at all have that separation, is our currency to see the Lord. It is that deep disappearance observation. It's not just like go around and have a disappearance feast, festival, jump around with some kirtan, and that's it. And come back home and then sleep due to overeating. Inner import that the Guru sacrifices his life, he has going back from the standpoint of the disciple. From the standpoint of the Guru, he's going back to Godhead. Hell do we care? But from the standpoint of the disciple, the Guru, by burning his body in the separation of Krishna, in that funeral pyre, gives us that pain which can be translated to see Krishna. Provided you have that pain in you for the Guru. And pity, if you don't have that pain for Guru, you don't have that pain with you. And that pain is the price for seeing Krishna. I'm sorry, you have to wait. There's nothing sentimental about it. This progression is you bring that progression here and you judge the Guru Bhakti of yourself and anybody else, and you will know who stands where. Oh, that disciple was such a loyal disciple of a spiritual master. Okay, did he understood this? What we were discussing for the last 15 minutes? No, sorry. Wasted. Okay. It's for this reason I said that I want to spend time here, although the course is technically over. That is indicated. That is what, like the famous Shvetashvatara, now you understand all that. Now, often heard words of from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, two friends, two birds sitting on the same tree. One bird is eating the fruits, another is looking at them, all of that. Now it all starts making sense. It is the Lord and the Jiva. The Lord in the shape of the spiritual master who came and he died in front of you to give you the pain by which you can see the Lord himself. It was Krishna in the form of the Guru Tattva who came to you to initiate in you, ignite in you the fire by which of separation, by which in that fire my Guru burns, but at the same time that fire galvanizes me to see, have darshan of Krishna and make my life successful. We will never be able to equate our sacrifice with the sacrifice of our Guru. That's never going to happen. Because if that happens, nobody is going back to Godhead. Okay. So here now you see how Vaidarbhi is, that's why I wrote it. Rather see how Vaidarbhi attains the perfection. That's why we were reading this. We read up till this. Okay. All right. Now let's see. Oh yeah, this is I'm sorry. Let me go back to this. This is a conversation which this whole verses has been made into a conversation by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay. So we can have a conversation. I need a partner with whom I can have that conversation. I'm not
I
handing
can do
over.
that.
Yeah. Oh, Anilamaji, yes, please. Okay, so then what we can do is you will be the spiritual master. You will be Krishna. You will be playing my spiritual master. So, okay. So that this inverted commas, this is me, and the other one is you. Okay. Do you know me?
You are a Brahmana.
Who am I?
You are my friend.
Go on.
Though you do not recognize me, do you remember yourself who had a friend you did not recognize? The form Sakhe is a masculine form of address, though at present she was a woman. This indicates that the Lord wants to make her remember her previous life as a man.
You please remember me. No, you will say that. You please remember. I cannot.
We were two pure Atmas, friends, whose dwelling place is the heart.
If I have never heard any knowledge about the self, then you should tell me what should I know, what I should know. Okay. So now, yeah, you are answering me, Mataji.
You are not the daughter of any common person. You are Chit Shakti Jiva belonging to me. This hero is not your friend, giving benefit, but I am the friend. In this form, I have become your guru and have taught you devotion to me. In this way, I have acted as your friend.
If this is so, why am I aware of all this?
It is Maya, because of which you think yourself a man, sometimes a woman, and sometimes a eunuch. This also implies that sometimes you're a human, sometimes a devata, and sometimes an animal. I am Paramatma and you are Jiva. You're not anything else. You're not different from me, being a conscious entity.
Why do you say such intolerable things?
Ah, my pure devotee, see this discretion without anger.
So this is the summary. Okay, thank you. So then when When Krishna is telling the jiva the fact, the jiva is not able to tolerate it. You see? So not able to tolerate it. But Krishna is merciful. See it with discretion, without anger. Okay. So this is a summary. So the jiva is not covered by Prakriti. He attains again memory. Oh, there are certain things. It's like, and I wrote some comments. So here you see, he is again telling that he has attained the memory, or by which the like he lost because of aversion to Krishna. That's the Maya. How the Maya is covering over the jiva because of the aversion. And that's the reason is given. Okay. So that's why the whole thing of this allegory has been used. So it says that one should understand that the highest goal, according to Narad Muni, is attaining the position of prema. Is the and you become one of the associates of the Lord. So that's the idea. Okay. So let me show you the last purport of this chapter, which I'm time and again I was referring to. Someone can read this out for me. Yeah. Priyasatama Maji, are you around? Would you like to read just a couple of lines?
Yes,
The
yes,
final,
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
just the final read of the day. Just the final read for the day.
Yes,
This
yes,
one.
Prabhuji.
Just start with.
Yes, Prabhuji. Which lines?
Yeah, starting from here, there are many similar stories. Can you see this?
Okay. Okay. There are many similar stories in the Puranas for self-realization. As stated in the Vedas, Paroksha Priya Iva Hi Devaha. There are many stories in the Puranas that are intended to interest ordinary men in transcendental subjects. But actually, these refer to real facts. They are not to be considered stories without a transcendental purpose. Some of them refer to real historical facts. One should be interested, however, in the real purport of the story. Indirect instruction is quickly understandable for a common man. Factually, the path of Bhakti Yoga is the path of hearing directly about the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. But those are not interested in hearing directly about the activities of the Lord or who cannot understand them can very effectively hear such stories and fables as this one narrated by Narad Muni.
So you see, so although Prabhupada is concluding that this is like an indirect story, fables and all that, but if you read between the lines, this is what Prabhupada is writing. These are not to be considered stories without purpose. Some of these are real historical facts. You don't really know that this story is actually just a story, or there might indeed be an actual Puranjan having encountered the real Narad Muni. Okay, so it is a yes and it's a no. If somebody asks, Prabhu, is this actually a historical account? It's a yes and it's a no. Okay. Did somebody, okay, so this conversation, what was going on when Anand Lilamaji was playing the part of the Brahmana, you see? So the Brahmana, okay, let me take you back to that specific verse. Let me show you, and then I'll ask you. Now it's my turn to ask a question. Basically, not a question, just to throw some masala. I'm just finding like it's like without masala now. Just throw some masala. Oh yeah, here it is. Almost there. Here. Who would like to read just this one translation? Just one translation. I need a volunteer. Somebody
Yeah, I
hasn't
can
read.
continue, Prabhuji.
Okay. Priyasatama Maji. The translation. Can you read the translation? Can you see the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. My dear king, one Brahmana, who was an old friend of King Puranjam, came to that place and began to pacify the queen with sweet words.
Okay, hold on to this. What does this say? Who came here?
Brahmana.
A Brahmana came. Who was he? Basically, here written over here. Who was he according to this translation?
An old friend of the king.
Of the king. And the king has died, right?
Departed, yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine. Let's see the next sentence. Remember who the Brahmana was. Okay. Now read this one.
The Brahman
Yes,
is as follows. Who are you? Whose wife or daughter are you? Who is the man lying here? It appears you are lamenting for this dead body. Don't you recognize me? I am your eternal friend. You may remember that many times in the past you have consulted me.
Wait. What was the last verse saying? Who was it? Who was the Brahman friend to?
Puranjan, old friend.
But what does the Brahman himself says about it? Who the Brahman turns out to be? Friend of whom?
Puranjan Prabhuji.
Is it? Amarinda Hari Prabhu? Would you
Yes,
care to apply the eyes to the purport? What does it say?
I'm your eternal friend.
It didn't say that
You
I'm
may-
an eternal friend of your husband. Did he say that I'm a friend of your husband?
No, Prabhuji, not in this.
See the difference? You see the difference? Did somebody noted that the Brahman is instructing the lonely queen in the forest? The queen was lonely, by the way, in the forest. Is it not?
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
The queen is lonely in the forest, crying
Is
since the husband has died, about to climb on the pyre of the husband. And not only that, he is saying, the Brahmana, he is saying, you're an old friend of mine. I am your old friend whom you never paid any attention. Wow. Wow. Really, this is getting more and more interesting. You see? It's getting more and more interesting.
Prabhuji,
You see? You can't recognize you. Remember in the past, you had a very intimate friend. What's going on? So it also shows that when one is giving spiritual instructions, that whole thing is above gender considerations. The wife was alone in the forest. Husband has died. The Brahmana suddenly appears. It doesn't tell us that a Brahmana is accompanied by others. There's one single Brahmana, one lonely woman in the forest. And he's coming and he's telling him, oh, I'm your only friend, eternal friend. You never paid any attention to me. I haven't forgotten you. You've always come to me for advice. And I've already given you a good advice. Wow, what's this going on? But that is the intensity of love between Krishna and the devotees. And that is the case we see here. That Brahmana is who? Is Narada. Right in the previous chapter, we saw that how Narada was approached by Kalkanya. He refused and he got cursed also because of that. You see, so dangerous. The girl is proposing to Narada, he has to accept. Doesn't accept, he gets a curse. But the same Narada Muni is still taking another risk, coming to this friend of him. And tells, I have been there all round. You never heard me. Now you hear. And now she is getting liberated. So on the spiritual platform, this is how Krishna serves the devotees, his devotee. Krishna in the form of the spiritual master, the Guru Tattva, he comes. He even makes a show. That's what is expected, that you get so much attached to Guru on the basis of that philosophical relationship. That when there is this separation, that fire of separation can be used to have direct darshan of Krishna, not to go into tamagun. My relationship with my spiritual master is so transcendental that with the last breath of my spiritual master, he sends me into tamagun or I jump into tamagun. That is the glory of my relationship with my spiritual master. Wow. You see? That is how Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad has actually took a shoe and beat the mind of the tamagun, the sentimentalism. When the Guru dies, everybody's crying and everybody's into tamagun. That disciple who understands why Guru came to my life and why he left my life was the same thing. The day he came to my life, he had the very same purpose. And the day he left my life, he had this very same purpose, Krishna Darshan. So now I may well get my act together, use all that emotion which I have, genuine spiritual emotion, which I had cultivated by my spiritual master, and with that one last push, let me come to the stage where my spiritual master always wanted me to be. The stage of Bhava Bhakti, having direct darshan of Krishna. So that is when I did justice to my spiritual master. That is when I actually gave him the real Vyas Puja offering. So, and then you get that Prema Bhakti, and you see, even the Puranjana, who apparently quote and unquote, got a woman's body, did that in the woman's body, which was not possible for him to do in the men's body. The whole 5 chapters are full of counterintuitive narratives. Whole 5 chapters, simply put, consist of counterintuitive narratives. Every chapter you can come up with contradictions. How come the Brahmana is speaking to the lonely queen in the forest? You see, how come the person who was so attached to his wife got the next body as a woman? Better yet, he also get liberation. So that was the end of Puranjan's story. Okay. So from tomorrow, we will be having Ramaya Prabhu with us. So, Anil Lamaji, would you be like introducing him? I don't personally know him, so then, what do you think? I can be there, certainly, but like,
Okay.
none of us knows him, so then, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. Yes, Amarendra Prabhu, go on.
Hare Krishna, Pujana Pranam. So my question is, Prabhuji, very nicely explained, Prabhuji, the relationship between disciple and spiritual master. And when will get so much attachment that the spiritual master will, when he will going to be leave his body, then so much separation will feel, then only will know about Krishna or see Krishna or attach with Krishna, like that. So how we can be so attached with our spiritual master body, so that we can feel so attachment or detachment from him.
You're asking me how to get attached to spiritual master?
Yes, Prabhuji.
How do I know? That's between you and your spiritual master.
Means what is the general principle, Prabhuji? Why by one character?
General principle is the same. Follow the instructions of the spiritual master, and when we become attached to the instructions of the spiritual master, is considered attachment to the spiritual master. It's not attachment. Again, it's not that the spiritual master is the body. Then there is no progression. If I start with the assumption that spiritual master is the body, I start with the assumption that I am not this body. Very good. But my spiritual master, he is the body. And the body belongs to me. This is the body of my spiritual master. I don't go beyond body. When I learn to see that I am that is the first assumption, that I am not the body but the soul. It's an assumption, right? I have no realization, so it's an assumption. So similarly, then the second assumption, that the spiritual master is also not the body, but he is the spirit soul representative of Krishna. I might not have any understanding about it.
When he will leave the body, but his instruction with us always.
That is there. But the association which I was getting from the spiritual master through the agency of that body, but the association of the spiritual strength, the spiritual how should I put it? Actually, spiritual strength only. It's just like the rays of the spiritual light is so strong coming from that body of which I understand to be the spiritual master. So that ray, it purifies me, it galvanizes me, it raises my temperature to such an extent which burns away all my anarthas, which burns away everything that is holding me back from surrendering to the spiritual master, basically surrendering to Krishna. That all that thing comes to the fore. And that optimum level, at that optimum level, we meet Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, in this case, Prabhuji, I'm just thinking about me, that with his presence, I feel advanced, or I'm getting profited by his bodily presence. So, it's also, Prabhuji, in this case, I'm feeling about me, thinking about me only.
That's why I have to think about Krishna, not about me. I have to think about the spiritual master, represent, not about me. That's the point. If you're thinking about me, then you're not thinking about Krishna and the spiritual master. It's like it's a challenge for all of us to practice. That's the practice, the challenge, because you asked me some general principles. That's what I'm saying. It's like the general struggle for everybody.
But Prabhuji, one more thing, Prabhuji. In a current scenario, we see that we don't have so much bodily or physically association with our spiritual master. So how we can so much attach?
Yeah. So then there is no other way of doing that. That's why it's not that everybody, all of us are going back home in the same lifetime.
Can I add something?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to finish so that I can invite Anil Namaji. Yeah. Please, Mataji.
No, to
please
this
jump in.
no, to this
Actually,
discussion.
I'm looking for you to bail me out.
Just to Amarendra Hari Prabhu's question that has been asked, it's a very I think what I understand is, in any relationship, whether it's spiritual master or even anywhere, even in this material world, if you have a relationship with your parents, with your children, or whatever, your friend, the main basis is service. Unless you are connected with that respective person through a service, you will never be attached. So, like the comment which Prabhu was making, that he's there or not there, and not everybody can have, and things like that we can see in our movement itself. Many of the proper disciples they didn't had much of association with Prabhupada, but still they are connected, and they feel that gratitude that their spiritual master connected them to Krishna, and through their service over the years, they have developed that relationship with their spiritual master. So it's not an overnight journey that, I mean, it could happen overnight also. But the main basis for any relationship is service. So we can reach Krishna only through service, and that intermediate person who connects us, that is the Guru.
Yes, I mean, it's the certain things. I mean, I don't know what did I get myself into. I'm just see certain things are like as this is like as far as it can get. You know, like certain things you can read, you can understand, and certain things are there which like are difficult to be explained, but those can be understood like between you and the book. When Krishna talks to you through the book, you get that understanding. Similarly, it's like certain experiences. Krishna talks to you through the spiritual master. And for Krishna to talk to you through the spiritual master may or may not have to be present. It might sound very strange, but that's how it works. That's also how it works. Krishna might talk to you through the manifest presence of the spiritual master. Krishna can also talk to you through the absence of the manifested absence of the spiritual master. And yet it works. And you want to understand, and I did get a glimpse what I'm talking about. As the Prabhupada says, that even after 30 years, my spiritual masters passed away 30 years ago, but I'm never alone. And how does that work? He's not telling us, he's not telling us stories. You see? So the spiritual master has left the planet, but he has not left him. How does this work? We have to come to that level to understand that. There's only so much can be understood while discussing here with 20 people sitting here. Beyond that, that is between me and Krishna and the spiritual master. That requires everything, not just surrender. Everything you have got. Why only surrender? It's not that the only surrender is for the spiritual master and everything else for everybody else. For my guru, my spiritual master, oh Krishna, you have my surrender. Let me have my peace of mind. Let me have my joy, share of joy with myself. My joy is for my spiritual master. My sorrow is for my spiritual master. The surrender is for spiritual master. My good qualities for spiritual master. That's how it works. That's how it works. It's very difficult to, and I would rather say should not be discussed after a point of time, because it cheapens the whole thing. That which we're talking about, what Vishwanath Chakravarti was talking about, that fire won't kindle. Because, you know, like, it's like the fire in order to kindle a fire, you need that gas and the burner. But there are leakages here and there. The gas will not come up to the fire. You will never have that fire. Similarly, you start these discussions beyond a point, it becomes very cheap. Because like that's how the false ego works. The false ego will tell you, okay, let us take whatever credit of pure devotee, how much pure devotee I am in the presence of even these 24 people. I can get the certificate now. Let me take that. So it's beyond a point. After that indication has been given, leave it at that. And then every sadhaka is there alone to cultivate that. Okay. So the time is quite up, and like for me, all good things must come to an end. It's like associating with all of you. Generally, I am the bad guy, always coming with bad news. So this time I was here. Thank you very much. And your examinations, as we already discussed, we will be having on 25th. Now the bad guy is there. The good guy has left. Now the bad guy is there. So ये रात को भी क्लास में बैठो. Okay, so now the bad guy is telling you that you have got this exam on 25th, and then yeah, that is like third canto. the remnant. Then we will come to the fourth canto, we will give the dates. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the simple devotees. Hare Krishna.